He's one of the most wanted men in America, accused of killing 2 women in the Grand Rapids home that he shared with them.
Darrell Demond Brown is still out there, likely hiding in plain sight, nearly 3 years after the horrific double murder on Sheldon Avenue.
Tonight, for the first time, Target 8 investigator Susan Samples takes us inside the case, revealing the evidence, the timeline of that terrible day, and the terrified whispers of one of his victims in her final moments.
It's been 3 years since a killer gunned down 2 women inside their home here on Sheldon Southeast. That house is gone now, bulldozed after fire tore through it, a fire fueled by the heartbreak that came before.
9:02 a.m. the call came in.
911 emergency.
The first arriving companies found a heavy volume of fire in the front of the house. There was no one standing out front, yet there was cars in the driveway. So it was a bad sign right from the start. The first person they found was the grandmother, and then after that, the child. They tried to get out, but were unable to. It was caused by candles that were part of a vigil the night before. They were left burning. The house was the scene of a previous crime.
Wednesday, March 13, 2019, 10:29 and 25 seconds.
Emergency.
Hi, I need help.
Hello?
I need help.
Okay, where are you located? I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't hear you. Are you able to tell me where you're located?
No.
Are you at a...
553 Sheldon Avenue Southeast. Please hurry now.
Okay, I got Sheldon. What's the number?
553. Hurry, please hurry up.
553 Sheldon. Okay, can you tell me what's going on there?
Can you just hurry up, please? I'm gonna die. It's me. You're trying to kill me. You already killed my thing. You need to hurry up, please.
Okay, ma'am, I'll start the police that way. Can you tell me what your name is?
Kiana.
The 911 call ended seconds later and the police response began. The Grand Rapids officers who arrived on scene that morning had no way of knowing their actions over the next few minutes would soon come under intense scrutiny.
Suspicious condition. We have a female whispering on the line that somebody's trying to assault her.
This call looked interesting.
That's why you wanted to join the fun?
I'm trying to kill her.
One of the officers wondered if the 911 caller had mental health issues.
Sounds like she could be 96 too, you know.
7 minutes and 41 seconds after the 911 call ended, 3 Grand Rapids police officers knocked on the door at 553 Sheldon Southeast. 4 times they knocked, tried the doorknob, but found it locked.
1878, can you try a call back?
1878, there was no answer.
They're trying the side door.
Over there.
Seems like it's empty. You can see it. It looks like a little dining room or something in there. It's empty.
There's nothing in the back here.
It is painful to watch with hindsight's benefit. Likely painful, too, was the moment these officers, who'd left the scene hours before, heard a familiar address.
553 Sheldon Avenue Southeast. For female there not breathing, caller says a lot of blood.
2.5 hours after that first desperate plea.
Can you tell me what your name is?
Kiana.
A second frantic 911 call.
911 emergency.
From the 553 Sheldon, my sister not moving.
Kiana Griffin, who had just turned 25, had known she was going to die.
Can you tell me what's going on there?
Can you just hurry up, please?
It was a friend who found her body on the floor of an upstairs bedroom and yelled for Kiana's brother.
I need you to tell me if she's breathing. Watch her chest. I don't know. Is it rising?
She had been shot at least 4 times, once in the face.
Oh, my Lord, please, my son.
In another bedroom, police found Kiana's aunt lying under a blanket, an iPad still playing, propped up by a pillow beside her. Under the bed, police discovered a blood-stained roll of duct tape. Sherlita Berbere had been shot in the back of the head. The 2 women lived at the home with its owner, Jacqueline Berbere, who would later die in the house fire, and Sherlita's live-in boyfriend, unaccounted for after the murders.
But this man blindsided all of us.
We spoke to the victim's family in 2020, gathered on that doomed front porch, candles in view. The family matriarch was still among them then, unaware of the second deadly tragedy that loomed. Jacqueline described her 47-year-old daughter, Sherlita, as her rock, a sweet, giving soul who had always been shy.
She didn't have any boyfriends really during high school, so this was her first, kind of someone who paid attention to her. And at first, he seemed nice.
Jacqueline said the day of the murders began like any other.
I left the house at 8 o'clock in the morning. Everything was fine.
The family's focus for the 2020 interview, finding the killer and holding police accountable.
But then you have someone calling you saying someone is trying to kill me and you won't knock down the door.
You don't know.
She could have been tied up in this house.
Anything.
It was, quiet and the doors were locked.
Grand Rapids Police and Kent County's prosecutor defended GRPD's response to Kiana's 911 call, explaining officers saw nothing at the house that gave them legal cause to break in.
When there's no blood, it's a shut-up house. The house is a very protected Fourth Amendment. They're you got to have some pretty good reasons to go in. And, there got to be something to drive them more than just a phone call.
They didn't care. They was here a minimum of 3 minutes, and they went on about their happy way. And then at 1 o'clock or so, you get another call
and
to the same house.
And the same officers
come here, now you got to bring my family out in body bags because you didn't care at 10 o'clock.
Police had given the killer a 3-hour head start, said the victim's family. Sherlita's boyfriend, Darrell Damon Brown, had lived in the home on Sheldon for at least 2 years by then, but the family knew him only as Jay.
People knew him, but knew he was there, but didn't really know much about him or anything like that. He was kind of a phantom.
But a phantom who left a very visible trail. In an alley behind the home on Sheldon, police said they found a hastily tossed box of ammunition with 8 rounds missing, and in a plastic bag, a 9mm pistol, later matched to rounds at the crime scene. Even as police searched for evidence, surveillance cameras caught sight of Brown on foot a mile north of the crime scene. Among his stops post-murder, the Grand Rapids Children's Museum. Watch as he walks with purpose to the front desk, reportedly telling workers he knew someone inside before exiting 12 minutes later. Soon after, it seems Darrell Brown vanished.
The unusual part about it is how he's been able to just completely disappear.
U.S. Marshals believe Brown fled the state and may be getting help from associates or family. We tried to ask them ourselves.
I'm working on a story about Darrell Brown. Was hoping to talk to you about him. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Get away from my door.
Thank you.
Darrell Damon Brown, now 48, grew up in Grand Rapids, but U.S. Marshals say he also has relatives in Wisconsin, Arizona, Georgia, and Ohio. There's a $25,000 reward for information that leads directly to his arrest. Darrell Brown's family might not want to talk, but that wasn't true of everyone. Tomorrow night at 6, find out what Target 8 uncovered about the Jekyll and Hyde-like murder suspect, who U.S. Marshals say looks so unassuming he could literally be standing behind you in a grocery checkout line. In Grand Rapids, I'm Target 8 investigator Susan Samples.